Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Village Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Monday, April 19th. It is now 7 p.m. If I may ask you all to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and let's remain standing as we always do to honor our troops serving our great country. Thank you. Okay, at this time, a roll call vote. Trustee Sauberman.
Here.
Trustee Corrigan.
Here.
Trustee Barone.
Present.
Trustee Alpert.
Present.
All right, thank you. I also have the village clerk here with me, Miss Amy Paffenroth, and I believe Mr. Magrino is on, along with the treasurer, Mr. Genito and Mr. Magrino are also on. Next upcoming meetings, the public hearing and budget meetings to consider the 2021-2022 tentative budget are scheduled as follows. April 22nd, 7 p.m. budget meeting to discuss final budget determinations. Then on April 29th at 7 p.m., the budget meeting to adopt the 2021-2022 budget. Also a regularly scheduled workshop meeting scheduled for Monday, April 26th at 7. And the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 3rd at 7. The board okay with those dates?
Yes.
Great. Okay, it is now 7:03 p.m. I'd like a motion to open the public hearing to consider the adoption of water and sewer rates.
Motion, Trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone, do I have a second?
Second, Trustee Alpert.
Trustee Alpert, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, Mr. Genito, would you like to please provide an overview of the water and sewer rates for the board and for the residents?
The water fund for the village of Suffern in the tentative budget, as we described last week, decreases by about $22,662, and the estimated revenues other than water rents will increase about $1,500. As a result of this, the tentative budget will have a slightly lower water rate than they did in the previous year, the current year of 2021. And the water bill on the average home will decrease approximately $2. For the sewer fund, that takes care of our sanitary sewers and the treatment and collection system for that. That actually will increase about $145,267. And the total sewer revenues other than sewer rents will increase a very small amount, about $5,000. And the result will be that the sewer rates would increase approximately $30 to the average household. Now, why we don't go over the individual rates is, as you probably know, there are several tiers of rates on the water, where they start with a basic amount just for providing water service. And then there's an amount by the water usage that goes up as the usage goes up. So in any event, the impact is relatively small on the average household. And by the way, the average household that we have uses about 31 units of water a year. That's an average household, about 4 people in a household, single family home. And again, the water rates would look to reduce the annual bill by about $2 and increase the sewer bill about $30.
Just to ask you, Mike, so did you just say the 31 units is the average per year or per billing period?
That's the average per billing per year.
Per year, so it might be half that per billing period. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, and so based on based on this proposed 30, roughly $30 increase on the average homeowner, what percentage does that work out to roughly for the average? Like if someone, maybe someone's using more than the average, someone's using less than the average, how much percentage increase are we talking?
Let me see if I have that handy. I'll pull that up for you a little bit later, but hold on a second. Let me see. Well, percentage increase, obviously on the water bill, it's nil.
No, it's going
on
down.
this-
How about
on
the
the se-
sewer?
On the sewer bill, the average household was paying about $383. Again, these are estimates, but $383 for the average household.
So if it's going up $30, that's it's like 30 over 300. So that's like
30 over 383, yeah. Approximately 7.8%.
7.8%. So that's a pretty big increase. Okay. And some of the reductions that were listed earlier today and previously by Charles Sawicki, are any of those in the sewer category, or are all those just in the road, street department and whatnot?
It's predominantly street, and there were a couple in water, changes in water. I'd have to review whether or not they had a net effect on the water because but in any event, no, they did not involve the sewer.
Okay.
Okay. Is
So
there
I
any-
guess I guess I should have asked this question earlier, Mike, and I'm sorry for that.
Sure.
So the contract that we hold with JCO,
Yes,
that is part of the sewer increase, or not the sewer increase. Well, yeah, the sewer increase. So does those budget lines, and I'm sorry for asking this question, not doing my homework because I really don't like not to. Is that an impact? No, it's in the general fund, so what we
no.
do,
Let me explain. The JCO contract,
yeah,
JCO basically is an engineering firm specializing in wastewater treatment plant operation. And
mhm,
so currently there are two representatives from JCO that manage, administer the sewer plant because one holds the 4A license, the other one holds a 3A license.
correct,
And they've been doing that, as you know, for quite a while. The amount that they have in their contract hasn't changed since they initially started their contract a
Right.
couple of years ago. And so in terms of the sewer budget, that amount for what they've been charging is in the budget. And that amount has not increased in this budget, nor has it decreased in the budget. So
Okay.
currently we have in the budget the amount per the executed contract that's in
Okay.
existence.
so that answers my question perfectly. So, with time restraints and some questioning and learning and doing things, so the JCO that we all thought that we could change, and we learned better, and that the $8,000 to take away the 3A operator is still in the budget for headcount. However, this so if we commit to doing a review with JCO and working on the contract as a team, we can change that for next year's budget. I know it doesn't happen for this year, and I'm sorry I didn't have this conversation earlier, but for the residents, we're not just building a budget for this year, we're also building a budget for next year and 2 years and 3 years and 5 years, right? That's always the goal. So potentially next year, when we get the contract straightened away and we understand and we have everything right-sized by employees, we could potentially reduce what would be in this budget line for next year. Am I incorrect?
You certainly could. If arrangements were made that you didn't require the full services of JCO as you have them today, you certainly
Right.
could renegotiate the contract. And if the contract came in with a lower price than for the 2022, 2023 budget,
Right,
which would be the one that you're speaking of going forward, Yeah,
Right.
you certainly could reduce that line by that amount.
Okay, so that's a commitment that we're all willing to do and make for the residents. This year, unfortunately, it is not going to happen, but to build our budget better for the years coming up so that we don't have to worry about so much of tax increases and planning ahead, which is what I know this board wants to do. So that works really well. Okay, I thank you for that explanation. I'm sorry I didn't get a hold of you
No,
earlier.
no problem.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mike, could you take a moment to maybe pick up, since it's 7% increase in the water, I'm sorry, in the sewer rate, that seems to be pretty hefty. Can you point to any particular things that rose a lot year over year that would account for such a large increase? Since you're saying the primary driver JCO contract did not change.
Well, yeah, certainly that one did not change. Well, we do have in the personal services in this budget, we did put in a promotion to a 3A operator. That doesn't guarantee it. It has to be approved by civil service. It has to be approved by the board, et cetera.
Right.
But we put it in there in the event that you wanted that to happen.
Right.
So there's an increase there in personal services. Likewise, personal services go up. That's the salaries and wages paid to the other employees that are at the sewer plant. They are union employees. So the salaries and wages essentially have gone up about $30,000 out of this sewer fund. If I look at some of the lines that we have in this budget, some go up and some go down, but basically some of the benefits go up slightly. But predominantly, it's also in the, as I say, the personal services have gone up in this budget by probably that's probably the biggest increase. And that's also in, by the way, the distribution of the cost of personal services. That is Mr. Sawicki's salary and others that get separated across on the administrative side of things for this budget.
So that's
And
the.
then, I'm
allocated
sorry,
fund.
let me correct one other thing too. There's about $100,000 worth of equipment, that's improvements that are necessary to certain equipment within the sewer fund. So that's probably the single greatest increase out of everything.
And we need to keep our sewer systems.
I know we have a $200,000 contingency in the sewer fund. Is that the
No,
same amount?
that's actually, I believe, 100,000 in the sewer.
I believe it was 100 in the water and a 200 in the sewer, wasn't it?
I think it's the opposite way around, sir.
Oh, it might be, and I apologize if I'm backwards. Is that the same as last year in any case?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Mayor, you wanted to say something? I'm sorry, I may have stepped on you.
No, but those additional funds, the additional $30,000 that's in for the 3A operator, the $100,000 in the improvements in the sewer fund, they are the main drivers, as Mr. Genito was saying, into the increase. We all know that we're in the midst of an upgrade and modifications within the sewer plant. So it is a taxing department, but a necessary department here in the village of Suffern. And it's just a challenging plant. It's aging out and the need for the repairs are necessary. And that's what we're challenged with, just for the public's knowledge.
No, I think the end game with making sure that we plan ahead for next year's budget and, you know, going over the contract, which I'd like to commit this board to do in the month of May, and sit down and start talking with JCO and making a commitment to figuring out exactly what we need, because when JCO did a great job when they first came in, not saying they're not doing a great job now, we're not in such a crisis and we have a forward plan so that we can promise our residents and our taxpayers, which we all are as well, the opportunity that the board is doing the right thing and reviewing a contract when we were in crisis mode. So I'm comfortable myself. I'm comfortable with saying yes. And then a forward plan for next year is to identify what we can improve, what we can do different, and how we can grow our employees at the sewer plant. That's my promise to the residents and the taxpayers here. And does the board feel any different? Would anybody else like to weigh in on that?
I think that's the goal, the main objective and the goal for all of the board members here, for each department here, the sewer department, the water department, the street department, the entire village. That is the main goal here.
I know, but
provide relief to the taxpayer. Absolutely.
Right. So, but I want to build a budget more forward than just this year.
I think the more forward building of the budget in regards to the sewer fund is going to be most challenging, and I agree, but it will be most challenging with the upgrades and modifications that as we move forward. So it is critical. Yes, I agree with you.
It's a critical business need for us to do. Correct. So I would like the board to make a commitment that in the month of May, no later than June 15th, we have negotiated a new contract with JCO and figure this out.
Well, we would still need the operators that are necessary, the required.
I know that. I'm not trying to take operators away, Ed.
Yeah, no. I just want to make sure that the public understands that we are required by New York state law to maintain the operators on staff, a 4A and a 3A, which currently JCO provides, and we need to have those people, those operators. Which is with the village, but absolutely this.
Which is why we're not offering to change the contract for their discounted price that came in December. That kind of got waylaid, shall we say? So, all right. So the rest of the board agrees that this is what we're going to do. Steve.
Yeah.
Fred?
Yeah. I do want to address the reductions that were offered by Charles Sawicki on the F8320 line and 8340 line and so forth in a prior email, which may affect the water rates, though. I don't want to commit to the water rates until we address the items that have been reduced.
We're on the sewer right now, Steve.
Well, we are, but the water and sewer is one big.
Commingled.
They're commingled, but let's figure out our biggest challenge right now, which is the sewer.
Right.
Okay, so does the rest of the board, Fred, do you have an opinion? You're muted, Fred. Unfortunately, you're muted.
I think the board also needs to understand, the entire board needs to understand that we can renegotiate the JCO contract, but we have to have the ability and the availability of a 3A and a 4A operator on staff hired by the village.
Ed, we all understand that is needed.
Okay.
By having a sewer plant, it's aging, but we're also blessed to have it. So let's take care of it in the right way.
It's being managed appropriately right now with the 4A and a 3A. Joe, I understand what you're saying, and nothing. I don't disagree with you, so I don't know what you're arguing about.
I'm not arguing. I'm asking Fred his opinion.
Fred, I am expressing a concern myself. Fred was trying to unmute.
Fred is on.
The contract that JCO provided in December did not account for a 3A operator. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Ed.
That's all. Okay, I want to make sure the board knows. You're saying you can't answer for the board. The entire board needs to have that information.
Fred, did you have something to say?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
We hear you now, Fred.
All right. I've lost the visual anyway. I don't know how to get back to visual, but what I was wondering about was two things. There are $30,000 of labor expense because of, is that right?
Yes, someone has taken the test. Amherst has taken the test and he's passed. And we need to make sure that we empower him to do the job that he's tested for and has passed, which is amazing. He's
okay, how much?
He's done the right thing and he's good for the village.
Yeah, who is that, Joe? What person?
Amaris Morris.
What's his name?
Amaris Morris.
Okay, so we have, how many employees are there in the sewer department?
Hired by the village.
In other words, with JCO, how many employees?
There are 2 sewer employees that work for the village of Suffern. There are 2 individuals that are JCO people that are helping to maintain the plant.
So it sounds like a total of 4?
There are
Yes.
4 positions there, yes.
4 positions, yeah. And I wanted to ask the other question, if it's $100,000 in expenses,
But that's for improvements. That's separate.
Right.
That's equipment that's needed.
so is that something we can count on not to reappear in the next budget for the water and sewer?
Not necessarily. The sewer plant has been in operation for many decades and is in dire need of improvements. The last time I understand a major improvement was made was probably 30 years ago. And many different things. In fact, you know that there's a $9 million project for the sewer plant to rebuild much of the, make many modifications to the wastewater treatment plant.
So in other words, a big bill can come up at any time.
Well, yeah, and there are things that break down. The sewer plant has to run on basically dual operations so that there's 2 of everything to ensure that if one system fails, another one can pick it up and keep the plant operating. And all of this has to be maintained in such a way so that we don't violate our environmental regulations, which is a very fine line to keep. And environmental regulations get tougher every day. So again, these improvements are necessary. And that's why there's so much in the budget to make the, I don't want to call them minor improvements, but that's what they basically are in terms of a sewer plant. Instead of millions of dollars, these involve tens of thousands of dollars.
Okay. Joe, of course, I'm with you. I'm with the whole board in wanting to, get our water and sewer under control in price, of course. I just wish I could get the visual back. I've lost the visual.
We see you,
We
Fred.
have you, Fred. We can see you.
Oh, I can't see you, unfortunately. I don't know what quite happened.
You might have covered it with a different window. See if it's underneath something.
I don't know. Let's see. Press this. Oh, I got it back. Okay. The question that Joe was asking about maybe reducing our JCO expense by maybe thousands of dollars monthly. That's the question that I would like to see us talk about, get answered tonight.
For next year, Fred.
For next year, right,
We're building on next year's budget.
right. Well, I'm certainly with you on that, Joe.
It's a commitment I want to make to our residents that we are going to, by June 15th, review the contract and see if we can work out with JCO so that no services are not cut from the village. Our sewer plant is top notch. And we are not going to change the budget in the sewer plant, not the water, Steve, just the sewer plant for this year, but we're building it for next year so that we don't have this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Fred agrees. Charles, I guess Charles agrees. I think he chimed in.
I agree.
Yeah, and Steve. Very good. Okay. Now, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in regards to the sewer and water rate? Michael, Mr. Genito, do you see any hands raised?
No, we don't see any hands at the moment, but if somebody's on a cell phone or a phone, if you hit *9, that will indicate a raised hand.
Okay,
You know, Mike, I'm by no means an expert on this, but I do recall seeing a raised hand function, but I don't see it on mine right now, and I haven't seen it the last few. Maybe it's because I'm a host, but if someone wants to speak, maybe they can hit the chat also. Just want to
Yeah,
make sure,
well-
because I know somebody had complained about that once before also.
I know you had mentioned that last week, Rob, but then people were raising their hands that had, that were on both by phone and regular.
Okay.
But again,
Just pointing out, I don't see it.
that's fine. I mean, if somebody wants to send the chat through, they can. And we'll call on them.
So, Mr. Genito, are we in a position while we're waiting to discuss some of the tentative offers of reductions by Mr. Sawicki on the water side, since we're discussing the water and the sewer tonight?
Well, I'll take a better look at what he had. If I recall, then let me see if I can pull it up. But if I recall, he had adjustments to the water to make several reductions, but then he also included a position increase.
So I
in that-
have, I have,
in the
I have,
water.
I have the things he offered in front of me. There was some that he offered a few weeks ago, and then some additional ones that he offered in the last few days. I think
I think
today, actually.
I think I received what he had offered. I think that was today that he actually sent through the
Yeah.
other ones, but
So
yeah,
there was another one about a month, not a month ago, but like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
yeah, right. And the one 3 or 4 weeks ago, he talked about reducing source of supply repairs by 5,000, water meter supplies by
Mhm.
2,500, and distribution repairs by 2,500. And then he was requesting an increase for someone to move from a maintenance mechanic to, I'm sorry, assistant maintenance mechanic to a maintenance mechanic 1. So
Yeah,
we'd have to evaluate that and what it means in total. The net effect is probably going to be somewhat minimal for those items that were presented.
Okay.
Um,
What I'll do is I'll read off the items that affect the water side that he had originally offered, and then the ones that were possibly offered today.
Yeah, I
So I
just read
believe-
those. I'm sorry, I just read those off, I believe. Source of supply repairs
Yes,
reduced by 5,000. Water
yes.
meter supplies reduced by 2,500.
2,500. Yes, okay, I'm sorry.
Distribution
I missed-
repairs, yeah, reduced
I
by
misheard that.
2,500. And
Okay.
then promote an assistant maintenance mechanic to a maintenance mechanic 1.
Yeah, I see that. Right. So those are the ones a few weeks ago. And then today, yeah, I guess today there was no changes on that group.
Right.
Okay, very good.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. You're welcome.
okay, so at this time, we'll make a motion to close the public participation portion of this meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion, trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone, do I have a second?
second trustee Corrigan.
Trustee Corrigan, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Excuse me, I'm writing notes here.
Right, so Mayor, just so we make it clear to the board and the public, what you have done tonight is had a public hearing on the water and sewer rates, and the actual water and sewer rates to be adopted will be adopted when we adopt the budget, which is scheduled currently for April 29th, the evening of April 29th.
Okay. Great, thank you. Does anyone have any further discussion? No,
No, I think we did a great job tonight. I think we have a great go forward plan and a lot of positive for next year's budget as well.
great. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, Mayor?
go
if I
ahead.
may just close, just a reminder to the board that any suggested changes that you would like to see in this budget, I know that you want in the budget, where a majority of the board is in agreement. Those changes, we're looking for the final changes to be made by Thursday, that's April 22nd. So at that meeting, that's when we will have those. If we have enough in advance, we can put them together and I can make sure I review them and be able to provide comments on them if required. And the budget being adopted on April 29th, the reason why we want all the changes in by Thursday, that gives us sufficient time to review the changes, run them through our system, double check with our assessor as to any changes there, and come up with a final clean document that you be confident to be able to vote on, and it'll be in agreement with what your wishes are. One final comment too. This week, the assessor let me know that we had some minor modifications in the assessed valuation to our favor, which means that at this point, instead of a 3.8% increase in property tax, it'll be 3.6%. So it's a slight reduction, but nonetheless going in the right direction.
I mean, Mike, would it help you if we agree that everything that Charles Sawicki has submitted to us, you can start working on to bring the budget down?
I can certainly look at those and provide my comments on it, certainly. And
So I'm pretty sure that everything that Charles and Joe and, Public Works has put through, I'm pretty sure that we're all pretty fastened on that, correct?
We are.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm fine with that. I just want to caution everyone, including Charles. I mean, last year we did a budget, and in the very fast motions that took place in the very end of the budget process, Charles
which is
came
not
forward.
happening this year.
He came forward with a series, and I have to tell you, I was worried about it then, and rightfully so, because we passed our budget, went into effect June 1, and by July I was getting requests for moving money around different lines because there wasn't enough to cover things. So, we have to just be very careful about that and not be too overzealous on it. Nonetheless, I will take all of his into account. I'll provide comments if I see something that you should be cautioned and he should be cautioned on, and nonetheless make up an adjustment to that effect for the board.
That would be great, because we want a smart, intelligent, well thought out budget, and to build for future and whatever else happens, we want the budget as low as we can to save taxpayers money. However, we don't want to sell the residents short on services or anything that has to happen. So we do rely on your opinion, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, very good. So I'll put Charles's stuff together and present what the changes would mean.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, Mr. Genito. Is there any further? Okay, motion to close the meeting.
Motion, trustee Barone.
Trustee Barone,
Second, trustee Alpert.
trustee Alpert, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Everyone stay safe and happy.
Thank you.
In a few days.
Yes.